Okay, so show me that in stuff. In with the arm. Huh. Again? Do that again and hit it. Slowly on the way up. Okay, so the speed being slower lets you feel the weight of the club better, because when you can't feel the weight of the club, that's going to be in the wrong spot.
Right.
The weight of the club, to me, if I dropped it, it'd fall behind me. And I want to feel like on the upswing, if I drop the club, it's going to fall in front of the handle. So, and that's why when you do it in exaggerated motion, people feel like they're furic, but...
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what I like to see here at the end of section 1 is that you've got your hands and your club are inside your clothes.
Mm-hmm.
They're inside your body lines. Now, whether the club's on the inside of your hands, I mean, it's all relative on the way up, and that the club face, being in that orientation right there,
Mm-hmm.
is perpendicular to a line going down at the ball. That's kind of what I would look for as ideal. But notice how your arm, in. So inward arm brings the grip with it. Outward arm would most likely roll the head behind you more.
Mm-hmm.
Good with that?
Right, yeah, but like, I feel like this is like, here, keep going?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I'd want my hands to be a little closer to my body. Like, it's almost like too far behind me.
Okay.
That's what I'm feeling.
Okay.
Right, yeah, like, it's weird, like, it just like, I just feel like everything's moving this way instead of in front of me.
Okay.
Like, what can I do to feel like this club's staying more in front of me?
Well, you'd have to keep your hands more in front of you. Yeah, your right elbow would have to bend more.
See, like, usually, like, I was looking at other tour players, like, usually, like,
They don't get it that deep.
yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, their arms are their hands are in the middle of their body, and, like, the shaft's almost bisecting their right.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and I feel like because of that, the hands always stay too far back, even in the downswing.
So you wanna make the hand path more out.
Yeah, like more centered around here.
Okay. So that has to do with a little bit of the hip kind of clearing too early. Too early, maybe not being enough back. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's the first piece of it. Notice how if I draw a line from knee to your hip, it's facing toward the target. Okay, so that's just a little bit of it. When the hips get that much turn and that much depth, it can bring the arms in with it.
Right.
You know, that's the first piece of it.
Yeah.
And then the next piece would be that, you know, we've got a little bit too much back that way.
Mm-hmm.
So if you follow me with that second piece with the back being like that, if I stay in my forward posture and just make my arms go back, they get deep. Mm-hmm. And then the second that my body starts to go up, now they're really far behind me.
Mm-hmm.
If you felt as though that once you got the arms working in and the club kind of hinged up this way, from here on in feel as though it's the shoulders kind of going down and the arm bending up, and you can see that when my arm bends up at a faster rate, it makes my arm get more zero.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if I take it here and I don't bend my elbow, now I get it back.
Yeah, that's what I feel like I'm doing, kind of.
Okay, cool. So we're going to look at trying to get this to be, you know, in.
Yeah.
Something like here,
Mm-hmm.
and then from here on in, feel as though that your elbow's going to bend as you turn your chest.
Mm-hmm.
It'll get it up more.
Right.
But that's just to get the hands on that type of a look on the way up. I think on your downswing stuff, I think the only thing I'd like to work on today is just feeling as though that your back foot can roll in, can bank inward.
Yeah, but I feel like part of the reason, if you take a look here, is I almost feel like my arms are still too far behind me, my hands on the downswing, and because of that, they have to fly out to the right.
Agreed, for sure.
Right.
If it's too deep, it's going to get to 2 out.
Exactly.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you.
So I feel like if we can keep them closer to my head or in the middle of my body, it'll be easier to get the hand clasp moving more.
Agreed. As a look right here, right?
Yeah.
Like as a look.
Yeah.
So because of that, we're not going to talk about your arms and your hands.
Yeah.
We're going to do something that makes your arms and hands get onto that type of a line better.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Cool. So the first piece is to feel as though that, you know, once you have your wrist action in the right spot, you've got to bend your right elbow faster.
Okay.
Okay. That'll feel like your hands go up more vertical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then the next piece of it is trying to feel as though the downswing is going to be accomplished by the lower body. Because if you try to accomplish it by your arms like you're trying to do on the way up, we're going to stay underneath it all day.
Yeah.
But I'm with you on that part.
Okay.
Okay, let's see it. Grab like a 9 or an 8.
Okay. So takeaway just here, and then from here, you just turn the body and bend the right arm.
Yeah, one more time. Start again. Okay, so show me the first piece. Okay, and now from here on in, you've got to feel like everything, your hips move toward this club. The whole hip, left hip, right hip, every part of it, move toward this club. Good. So notice how when you got higher, that's going to help it get higher too. But if this doesn't stand up, your hip turn actually increases. It moves toward the target, which helps create upper body depth.
Right.
Okay, so it might even feel as though that you've got more hip slide this way than you have turn. Because the more you turn your hips, the more your hands are going to get behind you.
Right. Okay. So from here.
Better. Yeah, you want to feel like you're tall and straight.
Right.
Okay, so that actually limited your hip turn a little bit, and I'm sure your hands look more out. Okay, so start again. So the knee can bend away from this club, like behind it that way, but don't let it flex out away from the, okay? And then move into there. Yeah.
And just.
Okay, good, so hold it there. So the next piece of the puzzle was when I was drawing the lines on the video, right? So look down at the ball. Okay, this has to get closer to the target.
The right shoulder?
Right now, what I'm touching. No, back to the top. Put this closer to the target, just this. Now, that's moving away from the target. Keep going. No, that's moving away. Start again. Let's do this a different way. Okay, both ends on the club, take it up to the top. So all of this felt like it got closer to me, not in transition.
Just at the top of the backstroke?
Right, so you'll see it a little differently when I do it here, I'll exaggerate it, but that, like, I want this to move, and when this moves back that way, it's actually going to almost keep the shoulders more on a line over the golf ball.
Right.
But I don't want you to feel as though that as this moves, that now you're moving behind your hips, because that's what's going to create some depth to it as well.
Right.
So it's got to feel as though that your hips actually move farther from the target than your chest.
Right.
And that's a full extension of your hip. Like this would be a sitting in the hip. I want the hip to feel extended.
Right. So it's like here.
That's really good, Max. Now I'm hoping that if you can feel like, you know what, I'm not going to tell you what it might feel like. I just want to see what you do from there. So when the arms go in on the takeaway a little bit, the club gets to stay out, right? Just a small amount.
Yeah.
And then from here on in, I want you to feel like it's a bit more, call it elbow bend and hip thrust away from the target. Hips higher. There, good.
Right here.
Yeah.
And then from here, just.
Let's see what you do from there.
Oh, I think the quad got disconnected.
Didn't turn back on. Lights on. Hips up, head forward. Yeah. Head forward is in target bound.
Right. So instead of the head swaying back this way too.
Yeah, I'm just trying to give you a smaller field to maybe accomplish the same thing.
Right. You just feel like your head stays over the target.
I would probably in front of the ball.
In front of the ball.
Yeah. And as it gets in front of the ball, it might feel like it actually gets taller to do it because this is going taller.
Right. So just feel like it's moving forward just because the hips are moving relatively back, right?
Good one. Yeah. Yep. So who's going down to all those tournaments in the States with you?
My dad's coming for sure, and I think my mom's just gonna come too.
Beautiful. Anyone else you know kind of following that same schedule for the AJGAs?
I don't think so.
Well, Pavak's got to be playing something now, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he might be playing in Tennessee.
Where in Tennessee are you? Knoxville?
Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Oh, it doesn't say the big city name beside it?
The city is Oak Ridge. Yeah, I'm not sure if it helps.
It'd be like the county. Okay. It might be Knoxville.
It's a 10-hour drive.
It's Tennessee. Been to Tennessee before?
Never.
It's fun.
What's it like?
Well, if you're in Knoxville, you'll get a very Dukes of Hazzard. That's a little over your head. Country style. Very country style in Knoxville, but if you go to Memphis, the music, the it's incredible. It's so cultural. The whole thing cultural. Good job. Now, I don't want you to try and manipulate your hands going up by lifting them up.
Right.
Okay, because we've got to keep your arm against your chest.
Mm-hmm.
But your hands can take a more vertical approach when your shoulders go up more vertical.
Right. Wait, so say that again. So
Okay, so I need your
here.
arm to stay against the CJGA logo on your chest.
Mm-hmm.
Glue it in there a little bit. Good. Okay, and now keep the shoulders working up steep with your head going toward the target. There you go.
So like here.
Okay, one more time. Back down. So, hips rise. Arm glues to your chest and shoulders go steep. Hips rise, shoulders steep. Higher. Hips higher. There. It's a pretty good step into the ground with that right foot, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you get the hips high, I can see your foot pushing into the ground more.
Yeah.
Think about, maybe there's something there that's easier. Toward the end of your backswing, it's a big step into your right foot to feel like it's a little bit of push up.
Right.
I don't know.
Alright, so here,
Mm-hmm.
and then hips.
And through. Good job. Good job. So, I like what you did in 3 steps. Could you make it 2 steps with a really, really short finish? Like make 2 actually hit the ball.
Okay. And one thing I was really confused by
Yeah.
was just, once we take it to the top, right?
Yep.
So it was like our first move was to stomp on our left foot,
Okay.
right? So does that mean we're transferring our weight over here?
Can you do that? Tell me what you mean by transferring in numbers.
So like, let's say up top, like it's almost like 90-10 or whatever.
Yep.
Right, so once we get here, it's more like 50-50.
Good.
And by the time we get the ball, it's almost like 90-10 on the left side again.
I'm with you.
That work? Alright.
Yep.
Because I feel like I was almost trying to practice, like, we get up top, and then up until here, we're still at 90-10.
I'd like you to feel that because I think that you go past your 50-50 stage too quickly.
Right. But then I feel like if you stay here,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like no rotation happens and the arms just kind of fall.
Actually, that's where the most rotation happens. So take it to the top. Hold it up at the top of your swing. Okay, now keep your arms really, really high.
Yeah.
And sit and turn around your back leg. Okay, feel how much stretch you have?
Yeah.
And now from here, forget about transferring your weight, just stand tall in your finish. Tall in your finish. There. So because you initiated from the lowest spot you were in to the tallest spot you were in by just getting everything taller, your hips extended and your belt was, unless you're wearing your pants differently, your belt was as level as it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
So what part of that is different that we just talked about there? To sit forever, to turn while you're sitting on your back foot. All that is in slow motion is to give you more time at 50-50.
Right.
Like, if you made a slow motion swing and I had the force plate under your feet, no, I don't want you to have the majority of your weight on your back foot, a foot from the ball.
Right.
No way.
Right.
So, like, I talk more concept with you than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you understand the difference between concept versus what you were trying to feel to accomplish the concept,
Yeah.
we'll be on the same page.
Okay. So.
Arms in, club out, good. Yeah. And steep shoulders. The steeper your shoulders are, the more your arms stay out. Good. Good. What do you think about that?
That felt good.
Okay, give me another one.
So just make it in 2, eh?
Yeah, and I'd like to feel as though the end of 2 has the club hitting the ball just so you're not holding back any wrist angles.
Right, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's...
So the big piece that helps you do all this, the next pieces, is that the hips extend the most and they get really tall.
Right, yeah.
So, you know, yeah, we'll talk about that in a sec. So from down the line.
Still kind of weird.
It's actually pretty good. I'll show you why in a sec. Yeah, you're doing great.
Everything's still a little under.
Just give me a sec.
Because, yeah, can we take a look here? When I just start the swing, it looks like I do something weird. Hey, look how much stuff happens before
Where,
my club
where
gets
am I looking though?
just like in my body,
Okay.
right? Like if you just stopped at this frame right here, I feel like I'm almost like opening up my body before I even pull the club away. I think it's easier to see down the line. See, like right before, if you just go frame by frame. So yeah, right before I pull the club away, look how much like my posture's changed.
What, here?
No, just like right before I pull the club away. So
I'm
like,
not seeing anything out of whack here.
like from address,
Yeah.
just go back more. You see, it's almost like I go like
Yeah, of
here
course.
before I pull the club away. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just your trigger move. Everyone's got a trigger move. Yeah, it's not doing anything. I mean, you're doing everything right. You've got a little bit of a rock to your back foot.
Right.
You might even have a move to your front foot first, but then you got a rock to your back foot, which starts the motion going. I think you're fine. I wouldn't worry about it at all.
Alright. So yeah, why would the club be still here? Right, like it just doesn't look right.
It's okay. Matches up your spine angle. I think it's all good.
Yeah, because I'm looking at every pro swing, like their shaft is in between their like arms. Like no one really takes it back with the club behind their right arm.
I think there's a few guys that do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But
I would
like
say that's the fundamental here is trying to get the center of mass of the club above the handle as early as we can without the shaft twisting in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So you've got all those things accomplished well.
So they keep going up. So how can we feel like this goes here more? Because this is almost out of my body right here, right?
Yeah.
Like it's still too deep.
Right. So your hips are moving toward the target. So watch, I'll exaggerate it. If I go this way the most and push my hips toward the target, look where it's swinging my arms.
Right.
So if you could feel as though that you have that same bump to the side, but then you extend your hips behind the golf ball, I think you're going to see your arms go up on a different line really quickly.
Right.
But remember, we have to get this part to make the other parts change, because this is below you. This is controlling a lot of that. And if we're working on the minutia of coming up, you know, on a line that's a few degrees, you've got to get those pieces down first. But you can see here that you're almost sitting over your left heel halfway up into your your upswing.
Yeah.
Right? We need to be higher and more this way. I'd say that you've got, you know.
Yeah. That's weird though, because I'm feeling like all my weight's over here.
But that's not what we're trying to do. I'm trying to get you to extend your hips, and as a result of extending your hips, you're getting your weight on your back foot. I agree with you. You probably do have your weight on your back foot, but you did it by feeling your weight on your back foot. We're trying to do this by getting your hips to be extended and not have this bone, this leg, turned toward the target. It has to be above things. You have to be, you know what I mean? And that's going to create a little bit of a less rotation for you, which obviously is rotating the upper body, because I think that, like, based on how your upper body and your arm structure is, I think it's great. I think you're right here and it's awesome. But watch, when I start turning my hips in the wrong way, see how deep my arm looks?
Yeah.
But my arm structure relative to my ribs is really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, take a look. And what's it like to slide and extend and raise the most? There.
Right. It's more like a bump.
Cool. But something's got to keep going up though, right? Because, like, I mean, you can see me in the mirror too here, right? When I start to turn and go this way, this doesn't go higher anymore.
Right.
When I get that going the highest, right, look what it does to my back. It keeps my head almost over the golf ball.
Right. So it's just...
Okay. So set up one more time for me. Just keep your arms and upper body in the same place. All right? Right from setup. And then just raise the right hip as high as you can get it. Raise the right hip as high as you can get it. Yeah? Okay? So now from here, finish the rest of your swing. All the way to the backswing. Good. So jump over here so we can see what that looks like on the video.
Right.
Some of this making sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So just from here, take it up to the top, and feel or start with the hips super high, and then take it up to the top. So just watch how this affects things from what you want to see.
Right.
Right. So it's almost like, you know, you're trying to see the last domino fall, but if I can make the third last one fall, you'll get yours too.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so here's your setup. Twisted, right?
Yeah.
As it should be. If my right hip is higher than my left and I'm pouring water out my left hip, it's forcing my spine to start this way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, reverse pivot kind of feel, whatever. But as you start to turn into that, now you got a straight up and down leg and your body straight up and down.
Right.
And then we see it from here. Club head goes good. There's your arms.
Oh, wow.
Okay? So
okay,
we gotta get that
that's,
piece.
Right.
Straight up.
That's perfect, yeah.
That looks really good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Interesting. That's more of like, yeah. So it's more. This is more of the This is a function of.
Everything is.
Yeah.
Everything that we're trying to see on camera is going to be put there because something else is doing something differently.
Right.
You got it.
Right.
Okay. So let's hit 5 shots feeling like the hips start up to begin with.
Interesting.
And I think the another thing is that what you said is just right at the beginning. So when he turns it right, and his body turns right as well, has to go towards the target, right?
Exactly. So, you know,
tension is gone if you just right, upper body go right.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
when I look at swings, I'll kind of draw a little diagram here for you. But when I'm looking at golf swings, you've got players' shoulders, you've got their hips, and then you've got their legs, right? So I'm always looking at where is the center of the shoulders and where is the center of the hips. And that's its setup. You know, anything like that, pretty decent, right? Okay, but at the top of the swing, do we still have the right orientation? And at the top of your swing, your upper center would be over here and your lower center's over there because that one shifted that way, almost forcing that one to go that way.
Right.
You know? And old school theory would have loved to have that happen, but they would have wanted it to go from this staying still and that one moving back.
Yeah.
So then you would have it. But if you have this one moving forward,
Yeah.
it's creating a tilt that's going to force your arms not only in, but to come out super aggressively as well.
So you want the hips to go back and the upper body to
Upper
stay
body
where,
towards the
just to
target.
stay where it is.
Upper body,
Yeah.
lower body back, upper body goes forward. Right? It's a
Right.
teeter-totter. So if we're going to feel like we start this way, by the time you take it back to the top with your turn, you're vertical.
Right. Right.
But I think that the biggest thing that you can come out of this today is a feeling of what's it like to be at the top of my swing with the highest hip.
Right.
Good. Keep your eye on the ball as you do this, because you want to try and feel like your head actually might, move half an inch forward.
Right.
Okay, so keep your eye on the ball, hip up high. Right, set up. That was well done.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, yeah.
You'll be able to see the difference
Yeah.
much better than I can.
Yeah, yeah. Max, when you turn, your head has to be forward
Yeah.
towards the target. Don't go backwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Then you lost all the tension, all the pressure.
that's exactly it.
That's awesome.
Feeling?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to see. I feel like the downswing stuff will change just because the arms are in a different spot
Mm-hmm.
at the top, right?
Mm-hmm. So I initially said I wanted to work a little bit on how your back foot works.
Mm-hmm.
Think about how your back foot now would work if your hip's higher, it's over your knee, and your knee is also over your ankle.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to work differently.
Right.
But the reason why a starter runner sets up with their foot on an angle is because they only want a little bit of push there.
Right.
If you're this way, you're going to react way differently with that foot than if you're this way trying to
Right.
push off.
Right.
All right, so let's look at the back stuff here.
Ah, fuck.
Okay, so arms are going in. Club head could stay a little more out in front of you, but we'll
Yeah.
talk about that in a sec. So if the arms are that deep,
What must have happened?
where were we? It's not bad there. Interesting.
Yeah. So what the hell is making the club head go from that far back?
Well, your arm's working in better than it did before. But do you remember when the first thing you told me today was, I hit a bunch of shots, my dad videotapes me, you notice right away that my arm's out and my shaft is in,
Yeah.
right? So when your arm is out and your shaft is in, that means that there's a roll to your arm.
Yeah.
Now when your arm's going in, I think it still has the same roll.
Right.
So, let me see your arm. I want it rolling that way on the way back. No, that was wrist action. Yeah.
Right.
Oh. So, if you kept doing that the whole way, yeah, that's what it would look like. Okay? It's just for the first little bit, feels as though it has, a quarter of a roll on the way back, and then I think that, do it over by the ball, let's see what it looks like on the camera. Okay, keep your eye on the ball. Hip up high to start.
Mhm.
Good. And now do the roll with the arm to the top. Okay. What'd you feel? Tighter?
It felt kind of weird,
Okay.
but
But what did this feel like? I'm not trying to get it's not a roll of the arm to close the club face. That's not what I'm saying. Is that I need the arm to roll to the left. You can do whatever you want with your wrists, but your arm has to roll to the left. Okay, so here it is, hip super high. I like that. You can actually look on YouTube for Steve Elkington, and he played a major starting like that. Yeah, pretty good with the lower body there.
Oh wow, that's completely different.
So when the club gets back to here and the arm rolls and the shaft gets behind you, if it keeps getting behind you like it should, it's going to pull your arms deeper. But if you can get the club head to do its fold, right, or its windshield wiper where it goes from that side of the grip to that side of the grip, if you can make that happen later because of the arm roll,
Right.
this isn't a wrist action, right? Feel as though that it can roll that way a little bit on the way back.
Right.
That's all it is. Start here. If I started with the roll, that's where I would be.
Uh-huh.
And it would go back, hinge it up. The weight of the club is going to help you make a more vertical hand pattern.
Right.
But if it goes from here and gets behind you early, because you know your watch is rolled over here, now from here as it gets heavy, it's going back, it's pulling me that way.
Right.
It's pulling the shafts, the shoulders
Right.
flatter.
Right.
So I think that this piece is going to be key, understanding that it's a arm roll action, not a wrist action.
Uh-huh.
As a result of the arm roll, we see the club face there.
Right.
Even though we've talked about making the club face look like that by going like that, right?
Uh-huh. Wait, so keep taking it up?
Yep.
Right.
Good. Really good.
Uh-huh.
So really tall, just behind the ball.
Uh-huh.
But remember, you got a lot of that stuff, a lot of this look by starting with your right hip as high as you could.
Right.
So if we start feeling as though that you hit a bunch of shots with the right hip really high, and it's awkward, right? It's just trying to get it up. It might tilt you forward a little bit, hold it there, and then take it up to the top. Eventually, we're just going to be able to go up right into it.
Right, exactly. So pretty much just almost feeling like the club's outside my hands for as long as possible. Until that happens.
Sure, show me that.
Okay. Alright, so we can start just hip up.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the club stays outside the arms.
Okay. Feeling?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like that was really extreme. But
Nice. Better? A little better? Oops. Let me see this side. So, you know, if we think about what it is that actually gets the arms deep, you know, like that, you can see that right here you've almost made a full chest and shoulder turn, right?
Yeah.
And your arms are there,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
about that high.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you wanted your arms to be more in front of your chest, they'd have to be higher.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so if we're looking at trying to feel as though that the right hip gets higher, then
Uh-huh.
from here the right arm also has to stay higher. And
Right.
your feel that trying to keep, you know, the club head outside the hands is going to do that, because the second that the arm folds underneath the lead arm,
Uh-huh.
it flattens it out. I'm never going to be like that.
Right. So you just want to get the right arm high as well.
The right arm's got to stay, gotta.
It's got to bend and go up, right?
Yeah, it has to feel as though that as soon as you crank the hip up to create that hip tilt, then
Yeah.
it stays above the left. I feel like I'm almost lifting this club.
Right.
I haven't.
So it's almost like the right elbow stays above the left elbow.
Yeah. Start again. One more time. So start with the hip high. Okay, good. Now slowly start taking it back. Okay. So from here on in, if this can rise faster than this, the arm gets a little bit more closer to your body. Okay? And then from here, later on, you can get the chest to start going up.
Right. So
Good.
from here, you just want.
There. There. But try not to feel like you're doing this and making your hands go on the line.
Right.
Can't do that.
Uh-huh.
We got to try and feel as though that you're doing something with this that's putting your arms in the right spot.
Right.
Right? So feeling as though that the right hip gets higher and maybe all of this stays higher is going to force the arms to do this. But if you get back into a good spot, look in the mirror and say, okay, from here I needed to go up through my neck, and you put it there, it's not doing anything.
Right. Right.
You know?
So just hip.
Yeah, so one more time. Yeah, hips up. Start again. Hips up. Okay, so I need your hands to rise to the top at twice the rate your shoulders turn. Not a speed thing. So start your backswing, finish up your arm swing, keep going with the arms. Okay, is that about it? Tell me when you're done with the arms.
Okay.
Okay, right? Now, watch. Look at the hands, where they end up going when this happens. Notice how I see arm on this side of your hands now.
Right.
Okay, so start again. Put your arms back down. Start it set up. Okay, now, take it back, just turning your back to the target.
Right, that's what happens, right?
So, it might feel that once your hip gets up like this, that you try and keep your chest down longer as your arms rise, and then it can all go. But watch, Max, we got to start to create some pressure with your arms going against your body here. Right? So feeling as though they can go hip up, arms, and then chest, I think you're going to see what you're trying to see.
Right. So hip up.
Hip up to start.
Arms.
Arms go with the chest still pointed down, and then let the back and chest. Yeah, for sure. And that's probably the fastest way to start seeing less arm, more hands out, and more elbow behind you.
Right. So I feel like what I'm kind of feeling right now is like, it's once I take it here, it's almost like my left shoulder tries to like go down.
Okay. Can you get your left shoulder the lowest, but your left hand the highest?
Right.
How does that work?
So it's just left shoulder highest.
Actually, sorry, I said the wrong thing. Start again. Your right shoulder the lowest, but your left hand the highest.
Right shoulder the lowest.
Yes, on the way up. So right hip high. Yeah, good. And now from here on in, if you can feel like this stays down as that goes up, you're going to get the right angles, the right bends on a different path. Yeah. So from here, look in the mirror. Now you're this way too far.
Right.
But remember, when you go from here and everything's really good and your pivot's open and wide, if your arm doesn't start gluing against your pivot soon, you start to be too separated between your arms and your body. So I don't really want to feel like at the top that you're separated like this and then you turn into it. Try and feel as though that, as long as your glove is rising and the shoulder isn't, you're creating some good pressure. And then release the right shoulder once you've established that space.
Right.
Instead of trying to feel as though that there is no space and you find it and let go of it.
Right.
Like that's one of the spaces that's kind of too important to be to have too big of a. Okay, good. So this, remember I said earlier, bend that more. It's more about just keep this down. That will bend more.
Right.
Okay, now from here, go to the top of your swing. Done.
Right. Okay. So from here, it's just.
Okay, take it up and hit it. Wow. Feel anything there?
Yeah.
What?
Like I'm just really trying to keep the right shoulder down.
While trying to get the glove up.
Yeah. And I feel like that kind of fixes it automatically.
You create some really good angles there with your arm and body. So that's the arm going up with what you feel is your shoulder not moving, and the cranking up isn't too far. But look at this. Look, your arm, shoulder, and hand structure is the best I've ever seen it right there.
Yeah, like that's what I'm working towards, right?
Okay.
That's what
so
I
now
want
here's
to
the downswing where the arms haven't blasted off your body yet. Okay, so that's a good piece for us to work on, to feel as though that in the takeaway that your right shoulder stays down as your hand goes up. Because there, you're done. You're at the top of your swing.
Yeah.
And I saw you at the end of your backswing. But that little added piece that you went to the top and then hit,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you felt was like, oh, now I can finally take it up.
Yeah.
You're already there.
Right.
It's good.
Wait, the downswing stuff still looks kind of a little awkward.
It's loopy.
Yeah, exactly.
You go from
right?
here
If we
and
drop
then
the
you-
line, it goes under.
Yeah,
Center of mass is kind of just working too far under here.
right.
And
And
because of that, my hand path still kind of goes outwards a little.
right. So
That
I
was
would
a
say
little
that
too
at
far
this
behind
stage
my
of the
body.
game right here, you don't have enough bend in this elbow.
Right.
So if there wasn't bend in the elbow, the handle would be higher from the ground,
Yeah.
right? Which would force you to extend at a bit of a different rate.
Mhm.
But I would say that when you get to the top of this new action that you found here, we've got to try and find a way for you to feel like you're using more of your body to get around the corner. But I would say that from here
Yeah. See, the hands are just dropping.
to here, and your hands drop because
Everything stalls, right? Or because we're just losing our bend
Right.
in our right
like
arm.
your hands just can't drop on their own, right?
Right.
Right,
Exactly.
they're part of your arm, so that your right wrist starts to move below your right elbow too soon.
Right.
So, okay, hold it there. Now, actually, you know what? Go back to where you're hitting balls over here. And do the stuff we've talked about today on the way up.
Yeah.
The hip starts high, and then the other piece, and then hold it there. Okay, good. Hold it right there. All right, from here on in, this is where we have to do the stuff that we've been doing for the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
Try to feel as though that, you do the leg action, that it flares out, and that starts to rise. Okay? Yeah. So, one thing that you mentioned last week that's kind of resonating is that you mentioned you were trying to feel as though that, through the shot, that you're trying to keep your hands low and left.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's going to do a lot of bad things down at the ball, and I wanted it to try and almost feel as though that when you're in this position at the top that we've talked about today,
Yeah.
that you start to unwind the lower body to the point that as you go through the ball, that this part of the club is going in that direction because you're standing up that way. It has to rise through the shot, and I think that if you had an idea that it stays low and left, it's going to make a lot of the downswing stuff happen.
Right.
Okay, so show me the piece on the way up.
Okay, so high hip.
Right hip high rises the most.
High
This
hip.
stays down the most.
This stays down the most.
Okay,
And then
and
once
then-
we get around here, then we can just turn to the top.
Good. Hold it.
And
Hold it
from
there.
here, we do a lot of twisting,
Mhm.
try to get the body open.
Yeah, and keep. So that's stage one of your twisting.
Yeah.
Okay. Show me stage two where the club head gets down to here.
Like here.
Okay. There. That's more twist. Right. Hold
Yeah.
it there. And then the rest of this is
And then
standing
from
tall.
here
Just
is
stand
this.
tall. Bingo. That's it. That's
Yeah.
100% of it. But the reason I added the second piece to the twist is because you got about halfway into your twist,
Uh-huh.
and you needed to go more into the twist to actually finish it up, and then I wanted to hit from there.
Right, so it should really just be one move from the top of the backswing to there. So it
Yeah.
should be
Yeah. You can think of it like a sit.
side hip
Yeah.
here. So top of the backswing,
hmm
and then
Sit and twist, and then stand as tall as you can get.
sit and twist, and then
Perfect. Perfect.
right.
And eventually, can I borrow your phone?
Yeah.
Eventually, what I'd like to get this to do is that the downswing motion before we get to the up part actually hits the ball. So, I'm trying to remember what we've got going on here. Up, right shoulder down as my glove rises
Yeah.
the most, right, which makes me feel twisted.
Yeah.
And then as I go up a little bit more, I want to feel like I can go 2, 3.
Right.
Right? So your 2 has to start hitting the ball, and it's only going to go that far, but I want 2 to hit the ball so that you can really get the feeling of the 3 is all on its own. Standing up as tall as it can be is all on its own.
So 2 hits the ball.
Yeah.
So it's like here.
Right, and the reason I want your 2 to hit the ball is because first it's going to free the hips up to open more,
Yeah.
and second it's going to force you to flop the club down. And that's why it only went that far.
Right. So
I'm not hitting the ball. I'm letting the club head die to the ground so I don't hold any wrist angles
so
back.
2 stops here.
It does,
Just
yeah.
right past the ball.
100%. Yep. 5 mile an hour club speed.
Doesn't that mean that in fact my hips are still low?
Okay, so I'm trying to get the club to release earlier for you, so which is just the opposite of holding it back. I don't want you to throw it.
Right.
I just don't want you to hold it back.
Right.
That's the only difference.
Okay.
So the club hits the ball, Max doesn't hit the ball.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Alright, so let's go on a video. I just want
Yep.
to
So
put everything together.
you got it.
So start
Hip
with
high.
the high hip, and then club stays down,
Yeah. Good.
and then
Okay. If that's the little bit of hit that you can let the club drop, I'd say that's pretty good. But you hit that 125 yards longer than I did.
right.
So as you're trying to go through this, going from the top and sitting into 2, like in the ideal world, this is like if the difference between you stopping and the camera stopping are very different, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very different. I don't ever want you to feel like you can stop where the camera stops. It's like asking a baseball pitcher to say, can you show me at that stage of the throw where you got your wrists under your elbow? And it's like, you can't do it without doing it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, let's see here.
That's really nice. I think when the right shoulder stays down, a lot of good stuff happens.
I agree. So there you are getting lower. There's your arm stays glued against your chest longer. You're a lot more like DJ or John Ram at that stage, right? Really low into your tilts. So now your hands are coming down straighter and the club's not going to get too deep behind you. But from here on in, boy, you need to stand up crazy tall.
Yeah.
There's the club going on the opposite end of where you've been seeing.
Yeah.
Good. So perfectly centered,
That's
right?
really good.
So both legs have the same bend. You're sitting down. That's the lowest I think I've ever seen you with the most split. And you've actually got the arm above the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Max, that's
Yeah.
scary good. Nice.
But then right after here, I just need to push off.
Yeah, we need to get as tall as you can get. But you're still finishing way different than you did 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Remember how you used to have the belt down
Yeah,
and the upper back
yeah.
that way?
Yeah. But the thing is, I try to hit the ball at 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 rises up, 2 stays down, right?
Okay.
So
right.
how do I feel like I'm hitting the ball at 2, but I'm also rising the hips?
What's that number?
86.
And 68?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Oh, we got disconnected. We got connected.
So I want you to do just the way that I do it.
Okay.
So the hip goes up,
Yeah.
right? My arm goes in, but my right shoulder doesn't move.
Stays down, yeah.
Then it goes up,
Yeah.
okay? So I have 56 club speed, which is probably a little more than I wanted.
Yeah,
45 ball
No,
speed.
45 club speed.
Sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
55 ball speed.
Yeah.
So when I say that the club drops, Max, my 2 in my head stops like here.
Right.
But then the club, as long as I'm not gripping the club and holding onto an angle for some reason, the club drops into the ball.
So it's just here, and then
Yeah. And as long as you're not squeezing the grip to hold an angle to make it look like a camera picture,
Right.
the club will just kind of flop down
right,
and miss it.
right. So it's like
Mm-hmm. There, that's the one I'm looking for. Give me that one again.
so it literally just it just hits the ball because there's just residual energy or whatever, right?
Exactly right.
Right. So it's not. It's almost like I'm not trying to hit the ball, right?
You bet. Max isn't trying to hit it, but the club does hit it.
Right. The club just ends up hitting it. Okay, so let's try to put everything together.
Mm-hmm.
High hip, and then take it back with the shoulder down
Mm-hmm.
here, and then
Okay. So the whole softer thing of getting you to feel like you stop the club, but the club hits the ball, that's the first way that we found, me and you, is for you not to apply arm speed.
right, exactly, yeah. That makes sense.
So let me think about this. For the smartest person I know, it takes 4 weeks.
Mhm.
Okay. So now I know that when I work with other people, it's going to take longer. Look at that, man. That's a completely different turn into the ball. And there, look at the rise.
Yeah.
That's really nice to see.
Yeah.
So what made the club rise, or the butt of the club rise, was the fact that you rose. You got your body up. You stood up with the hips.
Yeah. That's really good. I like that. And then from here, that works better.
You wanted to see the shaft come down between the elbows more.
Yeah.
I
That's
think you
a lot
might have
better.
meant it as it went up, but still pretty good. And then as you stand, it makes the arms disappear. So you tried to swing the handle low and left last time.
Yeah.
We finally got you into a spot where you can rise the hips earlier, and the handle goes low and left.
Right.
And there you rise up to the top.
Huh.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So. Let me think.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Where do you think he is with all this? Dad, where is he? How do you think all this is working out? I know that when he's quiet,
Yeah.
it's going.
Right. So, we're trying to hit it at 2, right?
Yeah. And I want you to feel like all you're doing is turning your hips, not applying speed to the club.
Right.
And as long as you keep turning your hips, the club has to hit the ball.
Right. So it's almost just like I'm trying to do this, right? Like.
That's
and then-
100%.
And then the ball just gets in the way.
Beautiful.
Right.
Beautiful.
Right.
And when
Max,
you...
Max, you just need to let it go, you know? I just felt sometimes he has too much things in his head, and
Mhm.
because that drill sitting down, that's still in his mind, that prevent him from moving forward.
Yeah.
That was a tiny bit delayed. Maybe we cannot see, but I just felt that he just not turning up.
And I think that what we've learned today, what I've learned for sure, is that Max really wants to make his arms and hands work on pretty lines in the downswing. And he knows what those lines should be. But I think that when he starts to see that those lines are created by lower body positioning and action, that's when it's all going to be like, oh, for sure. And you're going to go out and just swing the legs this summer, and the ball's going to go exactly where you want. Okay, give me another one. Let's do the whole motion without stopping.
Okay.
I don't need speed, just do the whole motion without stopping.
Okay. Alright, let's think. So.
Now you are learning how to displace your arms using your pivot.
Right.
Why did I say displace, Max?
I don't know.
Well, moving your arms would probably be a to-do thing. The arms are just moving. Oh, look at that. Wow. The arms are just moving because you're activating the pivot differently.
Right, that looks way better, yeah. Holy moly.
Okay, arms are good.
That's really good. I like that at the top, and then...
Look how much stretch you've got at 5 when your arms are coming down,
Yeah.
right? Your back elbow's under your front elbow,
Yeah.
which is solid. Lower body's back to looking like one leg.
Yeah.
And there's the body opening up. There's your shoulders turning. Different. And then boom, everything blasts off.
Interesting.
So basically, arm is not moving itself, but it's just moving with the turning of other parts of the body.
Yeah. So the arm is just like the watch.
Yeah.
The watch can't move itself. I don't want the arm to move itself on the downswing.
Right.
On the way up, it has to do some things to load the club. Yeah, on the downswing, a lot of people refer to the lead arm as a rope. And it doesn't, all you have to do with your body is to make sure that the rope stays straight. But I don't want to do anything and blast it off my body. I think that the era of trying to hold Hogan's angles has made people pull their arms down to create all these lines.
Right.
Wow. Really good.
Arm's job is just holding the club when downswing.
That's
the
right.
right position.
That's right. So everything you did with your upper body, you did it right with the right speed.
Uh-huh.
Can you make the next one where your lower body works as hard as it can? And I'm going to see if you can separate and differentiate those things.
Right.
I want the lower body to sit and jump as hard as possible. Upper body did
Upper body still does nothing.
nothing.
Okay, well, that's a good challenge. Alright, let's try. So, yep.
Pretty good. Now your arms move fairly fast because you created a huge whip between your lower body and your rib cage. And since your rib cage touches your shoulders and your shoulders have your arms, yada yada yada, we got a wicked twist and a good snap of things. So.
Oh my god, that's so good. Oh, that's so good.
Oh. Look how much you're rising into the shot that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Your belt's going crazy. Now watch what happens to the shaft because your belt is rising. It comes down steeper, but now it's following the pull. Your hips are pulling your upper body's pulling your arm's pulling your hand's holding the grip, and now all of a sudden the grip starts to pull on the head all the way down our pretty lines that we wanted to have happen. And because you applied some speed, we got a pretty good release to the shot. Think of it this way, the slower you swing it, the more you can pull the handle disappears left.
Yeah. So how does this result in that ball flight though? I'm just curious.
That I don't even want to look at the ball flight. That was at a totally unique speed for you.
Right.
And I think that looking at ball flight while working on your rhythm's not something we need to do.
Right, okay.
When you finally got it, then we'll evaluate it.
Okay.
But I think that's really good. You got all the spots we were looking for. I really like what's going on with the lead side of your body. As your belt is rising, you're getting things going up. Your back foot doesn't flare out as much either. So all the little pieces are working pretty well. Maybe it does from that if you would touch. You would have smashed the box, right?
Yeah.
But I think that we got your upper body into a place that you're comfortable with.
Right.
And we
This will go back a little.
Yeah. Oops.
Funny, because I remember starting. I know I didn't start back.
Not fully. It starts. It's going to be a big piece of that, right?
Yeah.
Not having an angle, but I think that by starting there, you're going to get it. I gotta show you because I'm sure it's here. Yeah, okay. They take credit because they told Elk to do this, so he went off and did it. This was the week before a major.
What?
Yeah. So he looked at it as the upper body piece, but look at how much he gets the hip tilt to it, right?
Interesting.
So it's that huge amount of hip tilt that we're looking for. Now, as a result, Elk had some more pieces. He wanted to, tilt all that way. I don't recommend anything upstairs, right? Downstairs is good.
Right. It's just the hips.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
But
Okay.
I think the huge part, if we go back here, is how much we were able to change that takeaway piece. Look how much better the club works up.
It does. It works up not open but out, which is good. And then, the hands get into a better spot because the chest hasn't opened as much there.
Yeah, right. Like if we compare that to like an hour ago.
Totally different.
I think a huge thing is just that. I think it's down the line though.
Oh, of course. Yeah, the sequence of it, right?
Yeah.
It's when you did things, not so much changing too many things that we've done.
Right.
Yeah. Arms aren't as deep.
It's not as deep, exactly. But I think it just has to. I think the biggest thing was just realizing the more this right shoulder stays down, the more we can get into a position that we want to see.
Yeah, you get tighter with your arm and chest, and you get a visual down the line of your hands staying out. So here's your downswing. Here's 5 in comparison.
Yeah. See, I think because on the backswing the arms are less deep. On the downswing, I can keep my arms in the middle of my body rather than behind me, and because of that,
If
the
your
hands don't have to blast off to the right.
If your arms are too far behind you, you either have to slow them down more to let the body rotate them,
Yeah.
or you get, well, not or, but if your arms are out here more in front of you, notice the relationship between back there and out there. Look at the space between, there's no daylight between you and the line. And we've got more sitting and more daylight and making the hands go out, right? So what, remember I think I mentioned it before, that the structure of your upper body was pretty good. We just have to get the lower body in a different position in order to make the upper body
the upper
look.
body looks different
Bingo.
because of that, exactly.
You got it.
That's good.
You got it.
That's good.
Okay.
That's
So,
really good.
Practice that stuff this week, and I will send you all of the video and the pictures.
Okay, this is awesome. This is really good.